Hi, welcome. Let's take some practice questions under differentiation of functions of one variable, and I'll guide you on how to solve them. So without wasting much time, let's start. The first question says, find the expression for the first order derivative of the following functions. So A says y equals 3x exponent negative 5 minus 2x exponent negative 3. So there's only one variable here, x, okay. Now to solve this, let's recall the function itself, which is y equals 3x exponent negative 5 minus 2x exponent negative 3. Now, to differentiate y with respect to x, what we are going to do is, we take the exponent of x, which is negative 5, and then use it to multiply the entire thing, okay. Then we subtract 1 from the exponent. So that means we are going to have negative 5 times 3x exponent negative 5, then we subtract 1 from it, okay. Then minus, then we do the same thing over here also. So negative 3 times 2x exponent negative 3, okay. Then we subtract 1 from the exponent also. Have you seen that? So then dy over dx will now be equal to, so let's multiply this and this. So negative 5 times 3 should give you what? Negative 15, isn't it? And negative 5 at the exponent, negative 5 minus 1 should give you what? Negative 6. So for that matter, you will get this to be negative 15, that is negative 5 times 3, negative 15, x exponent negative 6. Okay, then minus, this minus here, we repeat it. Then let's also work this also. Negative 3 times 2 will give you negative 6, isn't it? X. Then negative 3 minus 1 will give you negative 4. So that means negative 6x exponent negative 4. Okay, so dy over dx will give you negative 15x exponent negative 6. Now this negative should multiply this negative, and that will give you positive. So that will make it a plus. So plus 6x exponent negative 4. So that is the answer to question A. So let's look at question B. Y is equal to x cubed plus 3, all in bracket, multiplying x exponent negative 1 plus 1. Now to solve this also, let's recall the function again, which is y equals x exponent 3 plus 3, all multiplying x exponent negative 1 plus 1. Now, when you have this type of function, okay, where you have two different brackets multiplying, okay, containing x each, to find dy over dx, simply use this rule. The rule is u times v prime plus v times u prime, and we call this rule the product rule, okay. So this rule is called the product rule. Now, how do we use it? You see the first bracket, okay, you consider it as the u, and then you consider the second one as the v. Now when we say v prime, this one, v with something at the top here, v prime means you should differentiate v with respect to x, okay. And then u prime means you should differentiate u with respect to x. That's the meaning. So let's do that. So dy over dx will be equal to, what was our u? Our u was what? X exponent 3 plus 3, isn't it? So we substitute it there, okay, times, now what will be our v prime? V prime means, remember, this is v, and v prime means we should differentiate this, the whole of this, the one in the bracket here, with respect to x, okay. So to do that, we use the exponent, okay, we use this exponent of negative 1 to multiply this, okay, to multiply the x, okay, then we subtract 1 from the exponent. And when you differentiate a constant 1, it must be 0. So for that matter, v prime will be negative 1 x exponent negative 2, because negative 1 minus 1 at the exponent will give you negative 2. You see that? So that makes it negative x exponent negative 2. Then plus the plus here. Okay. Then we also write v. You know the v was x exponent negative 1 plus 1. So we substitute it here also. Times u prime. Okay. U prime means we should differentiate u with respect to x. Okay. So to differentiate u with respect to x, let's take this 3 and use it to multiply the side. So we have 3x exponent 3 minus 1. After multiplying with a 3, you need to subtract 1 from it. Okay. So that will be 3x exponent what? 2. Okay. And then when you differentiate a constant, 3 must be 0. So for that matter, u prime should be 3x exponent 2. So we substitute that also here. So we can simplify further. So dy over dx will be equal to, now x exponent 3, we are simplifying this. Okay, so negative x exponent negative 2 times x exponent 3. Let's multiply that. Now you see that they have the same base, which is x. Anytime you are multiplying two functions having the same base, okay, you add their exponent. Okay, now this has a coefficient of positive 1 and this has a coefficient of negative 1. So positive 1 times negative 1 will give you negative 1. So hold that. And then x exponent 3 times x exponent negative 2 should give you x exponent 3 plus negative 2. When you are multiplying the same base, you should add their exponent. So that will give you negative x exponent 1, because 3 plus negative 2 will give you 3 minus 2, which is 1. Okay. And then this 3 also times this should give us negative 3x exponent negative 2. We also take 3x exponent 2 and multiply it by what? X exponent negative 1. This 3 is a coefficient, right? And then the coefficient of x here also is 1. And 3 times 1 is 3. Then x exponent negative 1 times x exponent negative 2. You see they have the same base. So it should be x exponent negative 1 plus 2. And that will give you x exponent 1. You know, negative 1 plus 2 will give you 1. So for that matter, this will become positive 3x exponent 1. Because x exponent negative 1 times x exponent 2 will give you x exponent 1. And the 3 is there as a coefficient. Okay. Then we also multiply 3x exponent 2 by positive 1. And 1 times any value will remain the same value. Okay, so 1 times 3x exponent 2 should give us the same positive 3x exponent 2. So dy over dx will be equal to, now you see x exponent 1 is the same as saying x without necessarily writing the exponent of 1. Okay, we take negative x plus 3x. Neg x plus 3x should give us positive 2x. Okay, negative 1x plus 3x is the same as saying 3x minus 1x. And that should give us what? Positive 2x. Minus 3x exponent negative 2 plus 3x exponent 2. That's the final answer to this. So let's look at question C. Y is equal to x squared minus 3 all divided by x. So to solve this, first let's record a function which is y is equal to x squared minus 3 divided by x. Okay. So to differentiate y with respect to x, the rule we are going to use is v times u prime minus u times v prime all divided by v squared. This rule, we call it the quotient rule. Now you let the denominator be the v. Okay, the denominator will be the v. And you let the numerator be the u. And remember, u prime means you should differentiate u with respect to what is in question, which is x. Okay. And then v prime means differentiate v with respect to what? X. That's the meaning. So dy over dx will be equal to, remember, our v is the denominator, which is just x. So we substitute it there. Times u prime. U prime means we should differentiate u, which is the numerator, with respect to x. And to do that, we take the exponent and then multiply it by this, and then subtract 1 from the exponent. So that will be 2x exponent 1, because you have 2 minus 1, which is 1. So that will give you 2x, or 2x exponent 1. 2x. Okay. Now, the reason it is just 2x is when you differentiate a constant is 0, so that one is not needed. Then minus ru is the numerator, which is x squared minus 3, isn't it? So we substitute it there also, x squared minus 3. Times v prime. V prime means we should differentiate v with respect to x. Now, this variable x has a coefficient, an exponent of 1, sorry. It has an exponent of 1. Anytime the variable you are differentiating with respect to has an exponent of 1, then the answer has to be 1. Okay. The reason is, when you subtract 1, when you multiply by 1 and subtract 1 from the exponent, 1 minus 1 will give you 0, isn't it? And x exponent 0 will give you 1. Any variable or any number exponent 0 should give you 1. Okay. So when you differentiate v, which is x, with respect to x, you get 1 as the answer. Then divided by v squared. We know our v to be x, isn't it? So we write x and then square it. Then let's simplify further. So dy over dx will be equal to x times 2x should give you 2x squared. Okay. The reason is this x has an exponent of 1 and this x also has an exponent of 1. And then when you are multiplying two things with same base, okay, you have to add the exponent. So that's what will make it 2x exponent 2. Then 1 times x squared will give you the same x squared times negative. That will make it minus x squared. Okay. And then 1 times negative 3 will give you negative 3. And there's a minus here. So this negative times this will make it positive 3. Okay. All divided by the denominator x squared. So dy over dx will be equal to, you have 2x squared here. And then this place is x squared. They are like, so you can subtract. If they are not like, you can't. If this is x exponent 3 and this is x exponent 2, you can subtract. You can only multiply or divide easily. So 2x squared minus x squared should give you what? 1x squared. Okay. Then plus 3, which is the constant, all divided by the denominator, which is what? X squared. Okay. So this is the answer to this. But you can simplify it further by saying dy over dx is equal to. Now, you need to know that when you have, let's say, a plus, let me say b, all divided by c, you can rewrite it as a over c separately plus b over c. Okay, so for that matter, if you have x squared plus 3 all divided by x squared, then it can be written as x squared over x squared plus 3 over x squared. Okay, so this x squared goes here 1 and then here also 1. So 1 divided by 1 will still remain 1. So for that matter, dy over dx will be equal to 1 plus this, which is 3 divided by x squared. So that's the final answer to this also. So let's proceed to question B. Given y is equal to x exponent negative 2 minus 3 all exponent negative 3. Now, to solve this, let's recall the function which is x exponent negative 2 minus 3 all exponent negative 3. Okay. Now, the rule we are going to use here is dy over dx equals dy du times du dx. This rule is called a chain rule. It is such that when you cancel the u here and cancel it here, you can get dy dx back. Okay, so that's how to easily keep the formula in mind. What you are going to do here is you let what is inside the bracket, just what is in the bracket, that's x exponent negative 2 minus 3, you let it be the u. So we say we let u be equal to x exponent negative 2 minus 3, only what you have in the bracket. Okay, so if u is equal to x exponent negative 2 minus 3, then when you replace the whole of this, the whole of what you have in the bracket, when you replace it with u, you realize that you get y to be equal to u exponent negative 3, isn't it? Replace the whole thing in the bracket with u. So y will be equal to u exponent negative 3. So after writing u as a function of x and then writing y as a function of u, then we can find dy du and also find du over dx, multiply them to get dy over dx. Okay, so first let's find dy over du. Now to get dy over du means we should differentiate y with respect to u. Okay, and to differentiate y with respect to u, we use the exponent, which is negative 3, to multiply it, and that will make it negative 3 u exponent negative 3, then we subtract 1 from the exponent. Okay, so if we do that, we get what? Negative 3 u exponent negative 3 minus 1. Negative 3 minus 1 will also give you what? Negative 4, isn't it? So that will make it negative 3 u exponent negative 4. We also find du dx. Okay, that means we should differentiate u with respect to x. So to differentiate u with respect to x, first we take the exponent of x here and then multiply it by the x. So that will make it negative 2x. Then we subtract 1 from the exponent. So we have negative 2x exponent negative 2 minus 1. Then minus, when you differentiate a constant, since there's no x there, it must be 0. That's why I have the 0 here. Now, negative 2 minus 1 will give you negative 3, isn't it? So that will make it negative 2x exponent negative 3. The 0 will not come in again. Okay. So now we know dy over du and we also know du over dx. So we can now multiply the two to get dy over dx. So for that matter, our dy over dx will be equal to, what was dy du? It was negative 3 u exponent neg 4, which is there, so we substitute it there. Then times our du over dx is negative 2x exponent negative 3, so we substitute it here also. Then we simplify. So dy over dx will be equal to, now negative 3 u exponent negative 4 times negative 2x exponent negative 3. You know, negative 3 times negative 2 will give you positive 6. Okay, so that will make it positive 6 u exponent negative 4 x exponent negative 3. Or positive 6 x exponent negative 3 u exponent negative 4, since multiplication is commutative. What do I mean by that? A times b is the same as b times a. Okay, so after writing this, this is supposed to be the final answer, but it is with respect to x, not with respect to u. And in the beginning, we made u x exponent negative 2 minus 3, so we can replace it back this time after getting dy over dx. So dy over dx will be equal to, so let's substitute x exponent negative 2 minus 3 in place of u. So that will make it what? 6x exponent negative 3, then into bracket x squared minus 3 all exponent negative 1. Okay, the question was x exponent negative 2, not positive 2. So it will be x exponent negative 2 minus 3 exponent negative 4. So that's the final answer to this also. So let's take another question. Question 2. Find the expression for the second order derivative of a function y is equal to x exponent negative 2 minus 3x exponent negative 1. So, to solve this, first let's recall the function again, which is x exponent negative 2 minus 3x exponent negative 3. To find the second order derivative, first we need to know the first order derivative. Okay, so to do that, we differentiate y with respect to x. Now to differentiate y with respect to x, first we multiply this negative 2, which is the exponent, by the whole thing, and then subtract 1 from the exponent. So that will make it negative 2 multiplying x exponent negative 2 minus 1. Then minus, we also do the same thing here. We multiply this exponent of negative 3 by the whole thing here, and then subtract 1 from the exponent. So that will make it minus 3 multiplying 3x exponent negative 3 minus 1. So dy dx will be equal to, now negative 2 minus 1 should give you negative 3, isn't it? So you have x exponent negative 3 in the bracket, and negative 2 times x exponent negative 3 should give you negative 2x exponent negative 3. This negative can multiply this negative to become positive, okay? Or let's just say minus. Now here you have negative 3 minus 1, it gives you negative 4, isn't it? So in the bracket you have 3x exponent negative 4. So multiplied by this negative 3, it should give you negative 9x exponent negative 4. Okay, so this negative times this negative should give you what? Positive. So we can rewrite dy dx as negative 2x exponent negative 3 plus 9x exponent negative 4. So this is the first order derivative. But the question wants us to find the second order. Okay, so to find the second order, we write it as d square y divided by dx squared. Okay, that's the second order. Now to do that, we are also going to differentiate the first order with respect to x again, okay, to get a second. So to do that, we take the exponent of this negative 3, which is this negative 3, and multiply it by the whole thing. So we have negative 3 multiplying negative 2x exponent negative 3. Then we subtract 1 from the exponent. Okay. Then plus. Then we do the same thing for the other place. Negative 4 multiplying the whole of this. Then we subtract 1 from the exponent. So that will give us negative 4 multiplying 9x exponent negative 4 minus 1. Okay. So that will give us, now you have negative 3 here, minus 1, it should give you negative 4, isn't it? And then here you have negative 3 times negative 2, that should give you positive 6. So that will make the answer 6x exponent negative 4. Positive times negative should give you what? Negative. Okay, so we can write minus. Now here we have negative 4 minus 1, that is negative 5. So we have 9x exponent negative 5 in the bracket. So multiply it by the 4 outside. Okay, so 9 times 4 is what? 36, isn't it? So that makes it 36x exponent negative 5. So that's the answer to this. But you can leave your answer in this form. That is, now you see the 6x exponent negative 4, you can rewrite it as 6 over x exponent 4 minus, and then you can rewrite this also as 36 over x exponent 5. That's the final answer to this. So I'll end it here for now. In the next video, we take more questions and see how to answer them. Thank you.